Hi, my name is Aaron Beaudet, and I am putting together, my name is Aaron Beaudet, and I'm putting together a little informational series on Medicare. So you can understand how Medicare works. Medicare Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D. And I'm going to give you a basic synopsis, a 500-foot view, so you have enough information to make an educated decision on if you should do anything about what Medicare doesn't cover, if you should transfer any risk or not. Most people will, but not everybody does. So this is what this video series is about. I hope to do it short, sweet. I hope to do it with some entertainment because I'm very funny. But it's Medicare. It's really not that funny. So I'm gonna hope to clear up, some of the confusing parts of Medicare. And as I said, make this a little funny and, let's be humans. If I can help, that's what this is really about, trying to help you understand, because it confuses people. It doesn't matter if you're a PhD or if you're an MD or if if we're a layperson, whatever it is, it's confusing. So I want to go over some of it with you. So I'm going to go over the basics of Medicare in one video. The next video I'm going to go over how Medicare supplements work and what you can do about that. And then I'm going to talk about Medicare Advantage plans. And in a fourth video, I'm going to talk about Part D drug plans and how they work, whether integrated or not. And then I'm going to get into things like Medicare, Medicaid, dual eligibles. I'm going to go over a variety of topics, the penalties, how you would get one if you're going to get one, how to get around them if you can. And I hope to be informative, as I say. So this first video is really explaining how Medicare Part A and Part B work. I'm not going to explain everything. I'm going to explain the major points because there's an awful lot to Medicare. I should mention that I run MedicarePrepare.com. I'm an insurance agent. I represent most companies in most markets. I'm here in the Hudson Valley, about 100 miles north of Manhattan. I can probably help you in any state in the nation. If I'm not licensed there, I have other agents who are. So please, be aware of that. All the companies pay us about the same. We're not beholden. We don't have any favorites. So it doesn't matter to us. What matters to us is you get a company that works right for you. That's what the most important thing is. So this is just a little introductory on what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to continue on. So the main two parts of Medicare, Part A and Part B, it's exciting, right? Part A, it covers the hospitalization, the room and board in the hospital. I have these things covered up because these are the two most popular things I hear about from people who need help. Covers the hospital, the room and board. Medicare, there's no cost for Medicare Part A unless you are not fully vested in Social Security. If you have not worked 40 full quarters or you don't have coverage for your spouse, there's a cost of Part A. Most people will not pay it, and you will get it at 65. Some have to apply, many do not. Let's assume you're in the hospital. This structure was set up in the 60s. So whether you're in the hospital for 1 day or 60 days, your copayment, what they call the Part A deductible or the Part A copayment, remains the same. For 2020, the copay is $1,408. If you go in one night and you only have Medicare, you pay $1,408. If you're there 2 nights, you pay $1,408, the same amount. 7 nights, the same amount. If you're there 59 nights, the same amount. There's no difference. If you come out of the hospital for 60 days and you re-enter the hospital, you'll likely pay this again. This is one of the main reasons that people carry other insurance. Moving on. In the rare case you're there more than 60 days, up to 90 days. 60 days, 61 to 90, Medicare pays everything except $352 per day. This is a big number, over $10,000. Rare that somebody's in the hospital that long, but it's possible. If you're in the hospital more than 90 days, from day 91 to 150, Medicare pays everything except for $704 a day. Getting really expensive now. That's over $40,000. These days are called the lifetime reserve days. Medicare lets you use them once in your life. If I had a good joke, I would tell it now. I don't. Days 91 to 150. If you only use 2 of those days, it comes off you having access to those 60 days, because you only get those 60 days once in your life. Beyond that, more than 150 days in the hospital, Medicare runs out. You're on your own. You're going to go through spend down, maybe on the Medicaid. There's a variety of different ways things could work out, but just be aware, after 150 days, Medicare is no longer paying for the hospital. More likely than not, your condition has lost its acuteness. You're no longer acute. They will put you into a new facility or a new floor of the hospital called skilled nursing. It's rehab, it's therapy, rehabilitation. You've had a stroke, you need to learn to walk or talk again, you've broken a hip or a leg, and you need rehabilitation. The first 20 days, Medicare pays everything, 100%. As long as you meet the criteria. From days 21 to 100, Medicare pays everything except for $176 per day. That could be a big number. So I urge you to look around to see what else is out there to maybe, transfer some or all of this risk. That concludes Part A. Part B, the cost for the average bear, $144.60 a month. If you're collecting Social Security, they take it out of your check. If you're not, you pay it to them quarterly typically. If you're a high income earner, over $174,000 married, you'll pay more. If you're a really low income earner, you can get out of that with a program called the Medicare Savings Program. I'm going to get into those in another video. This is the macro. Okay, so Part B. Let's assume you have it or you're going to go on to it. It covers things like doctors, surgeons, specialists. It covers some testing therapies, whether it is physical therapy or it's speech therapy, durable medical equipment, surgery, all those types of things are typically under Part B. Some drugs are under Part B as well, so be aware of that. Drugs that you may receive in a doctor's office or in a hospital many times come under Part B. This is the biggest thing I hear from people. Yes, I know how Medicare works. You have to pay the 20%, right? Yes, you do. You have to pay the 20% after the $198 annual deductible for 2020. These numbers, not so much the 20%, the deductible, all these copays typically change every year. They go up. They've gone up every year that I've been in this business, and that was since 1990. So, things don't go down typically, they typically go up. 80% Medicare pays, you pay 20%. What's interesting about that, some people may say 20% is not too bad, but there's no stop loss on it. That 20% is infinite, so you could end up paying an awful lot of money for out of your pocket if you don't have something to cover that. There's something certainly with a stop loss in it. I'm going to make the argument that to get a stop loss, it can cost very little. So I would urge you to at least consider that if you'd like. One more thing I'll say about Part B, if you don't take it when you're first eligible and you do not have creditable coverage in place, they will charge you a penalty if you do enroll in it in the future. Those circumstances, I would usually talk to people about one-on-one. However, I just want you to be aware of some of the penalties that can occur. Part D as well has a penalty phase that can occur in the event you don't enroll when you are eligible if you cannot prove that you've had or have creditable coverage. So, I'm going to move on a little bit. When you get on the Medicare, there are a number of different programs that can help you cover some or all of these costs. Well, not so much the 198 anymore, excuse me, I'm going to take that back. Some plans used to cover the 198, some, and they don't offer that plan anymore unless you were eligible for Medicare Part A prior to 1/1/2020. How does this feel? Okay, so when you go on to Medicare, there are a couple of main different configurations that you can utilize to help offset these coverage, these holes, what I call, co-pays, co-insurance, what have you. The Medicare supplemental world is one of the ways that you can cover these things. Gotta get my magic marker. So, the way we always did it back in the 90s was we urged people, or most people went into what they call a Medicare supplement. It's a hospital and medical program, does not cover drugs. Nowadays we add a drug plan. It's kind of like ordering a la carte at a restaurant. Medicare standardized everything a number of years ago. I want to add that I'm not talking about any one specific company. I'm not talking about any company at all. I'm giving you a general discussion on how things work. So, when they standardized these plans, they made it very easy. The plans are listed with letters. Plan A, not to be confused with Part A. Plan B, not to be confused with Part B. There was a C, a D, there was an E and F. Now there's a G. Those are pretty much the popular ones. There's an N, K, and L. There's a bunch of different plans. I'm going to go over a few of them with you. They added this program called the core benefits. What are the core benefits? The core benefits is when your company pays the 20%. They pay the $352 a day from days 60 to 90, 61 to 90, days 91 to 150. And on 150 on, they give you another year in the hospital. Those are called the core benefits. All the plans cover that. Some have a deductible or a cost sharing on the front end before they are engaged. I'll talk a little bit about that in another video. I happen to like a couple of plans. Plan G is a popular plan. It's one of the more expensive ones. It covers the $1,408. It covers the $352, the $704. It adds an additional year in the hospital if you're there beyond 150 days. It covers the skilled nursing co-insurance of $176 a day from days 21 to 100. And it covers the 20% after you reach the annual deductible of $198. I consider that a robust plan from a Part A and Part B perspective, at least in my opinion that is. Still, we're not covering drugs, just be aware of that. It's one of the more costly plans. They vary. I've seen them as low as $100 a month in some markets. In this market, it's much different. They're around $219 a month because there are no health questions. There's no medical underwriting. They are community rated. And if you do see them around 100 or 120 a month, you're in another state probably where they're medically underwritten for most people, and they're age banded where they will go up over time. Here, they can still go up over time, but everybody pays the same rate. If you're 65 or 85, you pay the same rate. If you're a high utilizer, somebody who goes to the doctor a lot, somebody who goes to the hospital often, this plan may be a strong consideration for you. Why? Because there's no cost if you go into the hospital, no co-pays. Medicare, whatever Medicare doesn't pay, they are, as long as it's Medicare approved service. The 20% is going to be taken care of after the $198 annual deductible is satisfied. I like the plan. I should add that with a Medicare supplement, there are no networks. You go to any doctor that takes Medicare. If they participate with Medicare or take assignment, this 80% plus this 20% will be adequate for your services. Some physicians will not participate with Medicare. They can charge more. Plan G will cover that up to the Medicare thresholds. If you need more information on that, you can go to Medicare and you can call me, I'll help you, or we can find it somewhere else. I also happen to like a plan called Plan N. If you're a moderate or a low utilizer, Plan N may be a strong consideration for you. If you like the Medicare supplement configuration, where you're adding another drug plan, if you need one, and you have a very similar configuration. For instance, all of these things that I checked off for Plan G are covered under Plan N. The major difference, and there are a couple, the major difference is this 80-20. On the 20%, after you've satisfied the $198 deductible, Plan N will cover the 20%. You are subject to a balance of up to $20 per office visit, $50 for the emergency room. Those copays do not exist with Plan G, but the premium differential is significant enough that I think it's attractive to a lot of people. Those are the two Medicare supplements I see the most that I think offer the most value. If you're looking at Plan N with company XYZ, it will have the same benefits as Plan N with company ABC. Why do you need somebody like me? Because I have a way of looking up the rates and the ratings for companies that offer those plans within your zip code. It's kind of cool to be able to do that. It's kind of cool to have somebody walk you through this. This is why people use agents or brokers like us. We're funny. We can dance. But more importantly, we can be really helpful when it comes to these types of items, because it's confusing. And as these numbers change, I said to you, these numbers change every year, the Medicare supplements automatically adjust. So there's never a gap there, or I have never seen one. So there you have Medicare supplements. I am going to put up the screenshot of what all the supplements look like from the Medicare and EU handbook chart. And then I'm going to come back with another video. I'm going to explain Medicare Advantage plans, synonymous with Medicare Part C. So we're going to talk about those in the next video. Again, not talking about any specific companies, just a general discussion on how the configuration looks and why you may want to consider it. And did I mention I can dance? You may see a little of that in my next video. Thanks.